Welcome to your community. This is your hometown. This is Walton Entertainment. This is where you can hear from the community and those making a difference. We explore topics, local festivals, arts and entertainment, and local news. For this program and much more, visit us online at yourlocalstream.com. That's yourlocalstream.com.
So, the gentlemen that are doing our program today, Sam Adams. Hey. Sam is a resident of Walton County, graduated from local high school. He's an Eagle Scout. He's volunteered at Fish and at Founders Memorial Garden. And he tries to keep Dexter straight. Dexter Adams is our speaker today, and Dexter was born and reared right here in Walton County and attended Monroe schools. He graduated from University of Georgia and is a registered landscape architect. And I believe that's kind of what he did for the University of Georgia for years and years. And the two of them, along with Kelly, live on their family farm, which dates to 1840. A while. And I would like to mention too that Dexter, unknown to most people, has a lot of vices. Because Dexter is the vice president of the Historical Society and the vice president of the Monroe Museum. So, those are good vices. I think that's all I've got to say, so I'm going to turn the program over to him. Thank you again for this.
Hello and welcome. My name is Sam Adams, and just my dad, to Adams, like a couple of years ago, Steve, that asked us to find the graves of the Revolutionary War veterans buried in Walton County that we have fought and a lot. So we decided to keep going. As tonight, we will show you what we found, including the War of 1912, Indian Wars, and the Mexican-American Wars. Thank you.
I can't tell you how many times he said, "Dad, we have to work on the project." I was like, I'm supposed to be the one saying. So we have a great one. Talk louder. Okay, Sam. Now we're not rehearsed on the advancement of slides, so when I nod, advance. Okay, Sam, go ahead. There we go. Steve Brown asked us a couple of years ago, would we be interested in locating and confirming the Revolutionary War veteran graves in the county. And we had quite an adventure doing that. You can imagine during COVID is not the best time to be knocking on people's doors to look at the cemetery in their backyard. But I think it sort of got us through the pandemic in a way. So in the process of doing that, though, we noticed soldiers from a lot of other conflicts, not as celebrated as the Revolutionary War. So we turned in the Revolutionary War work and proposed to Steve, we just keep going. How about we do the whole early American, veterans of early American wars? So we did. So we went ahead with the War of 1812, Seminole Wars, and the Mexican-American War. Okay. course, newspaper articles. Have you ever noticed old newspapers? They're solid text. I mean, they are from the one corner to the other, completely packed with text. And in addition to a lot of flowery oratory, there's a lot of good information. And of course, online archives, including the sons and daughters of the American Revolution. Great information there. Family histories. We actually read a couple, and of course we talked to a lot of people. We learned a lot there that led us to places we may not have found otherwise. And of course, finally, the tombstones, the headstones themselves contain information. We had to have something to hang our hat on all of these. So, we try to have some reliable source of information. In some cases, it was just a statement on the tombstone, and we went with that. We erred on the side of generosity. So we hope that the research rigor has been, good enough, but we didn't want to miss anybody, so we were sure to include all of those. Well, the first thing we had to do was decide what's Walton County, because Walton County has morphed and changed a lot over the years. As you can see in these different illustrations over the years, of course, part of Jackson County became Walton County, and in addition to the shape, you never know if that's just the rendering of the map or if the bounds actually changed over the years. The drawings sure do. And then towards the end there, you can see that different neighbors started popping up. What was Newton and Clark, Oconee County was created, for instance, in Rockdale County. We decided we're going to use modern Walton County, and the grades had to be in the county. And we knew, and in some cases, we were looking over the county line at a grade, but we did not include those, even though they may have lived in the county. We had to draw the line somewhere, no pun intended, grades. This is a 1784 map of Georgia. This is a royal map still, and fascinating map. But I see a wave about to break when I look at this map. You see the coastlines are crowded with European settlements and European place names. As you go into the interior, though, you see the Native American tribes, and this map is meant to be helpful. In one place it says that, I can't read it from here, but the Cherokees and the Choctaw were helpful to General Oglethorpe. That's up in here about where we're at. Down below it mentions the fact that the Creeks raided and destroyed Appalachia. The Yamacraw are amicable to the English, it says. So it's meant to be a bit of a guide to the settlers as to what they can expect. Georgia, go ahead. Colonial Georgia, these are the early parishes of Georgia. But the original grant to Georgia ran all the way, not to the Mississippi, but to the South Seas, all the way to the Pacific Ocean. And they weren't even sure it was there, but they knew it had to be because they knew the world was round and they've been this way. Well, it's got to be this. Go ahead, Sam. So the American Revolution, what was the cause of that war? Of course, the 7 Years' War, the French and Indian War, as we knew it, was the first global conflict in history. And the French and Indian War was the North American theater of the war. just about bankrupted the British and the French, for that matter. And as a result, the British taxed they wanted the colonies to pay for that part of the war. There's a lot of resentment there. Of course, we all know about the colonist revolts against the treatment, the massacre, and the Tea Party. The intolerable acts were passed by Parliament and were punitive. They were meant to punish the colonists. And then King George's speech was finally threw the gauntlet down, and within a couple of months, thousands of troops were headed to North America to begin an 8-year war. War initially, most of the activity was in New England. With the fall of Charleston, however, the South became the primary theater of the war. And most of our veterans, that's where they did their fighting. All right, see. We found 14 known burials in the county. Our computer did a hiccup, but you'll have to take my word for it. We're going to get to them eventually. There are 14 names there. Go ahead, see. By the way, the asterisk that you may see on some names means that no headstone was found, but we had reliable source information indicating that the burial was at that location, so we included those. I'm going to need notes for this because some of this biographical detail gets a little more than I can commit to memory. John Allgood, he was an original citizen of the county. He was drafted 4 times, and he received 2 tracts of land in 1821 in Walton County. He was the founder of the Allgood family, I believe, and we have the Allgoods here, by the way, all the way from Raven County. Founder of the Allgood family. That cemetery is kind of hard to find. We were just talking about it. In fact, they were not able to find it. It's off 281, and to the left of this photograph, an embankment falls all the way down to the roadway there, and we were very lucky to find it. William Brand, he was 71 in 1827 when he participated in the lottery. In 1840, he wrote a brief memoir detailing his war service in North Carolina.
And I'm a descendant of his.
Me too.
Excellent.
By the way.
Next, I've got a question. DAR says his name is spelled B-R-A-N-D-T.
Brant?
Brand, I guess. Yes. Do you know anything about that?
I don't.
Okay. Just curious.
I think it's an error. I don't know.
Yeah.
Excuse me, he's not.
What does the family say?
I'm kind of a family genealogist, and I've not seen anything on any documents other than BRA&D.
Good.
But if you've looked at very much documentary evidence, you will see things done 1,000 different
Every conceivable spelling.
Yes, especially census records, because until recently, most census takers were barely literate, and they wrote down phonetically what you see.
Right. Very good. Thank you. And speak up by all means throughout this presentation, because this is all great information. John John Selman is another original landowner in Walton County. He drew lots in 1820 and 1827 as a veteran. This is a case where all we have to go on is what's on the tombstone, and it contains the words Colonel and Revolutionary War. We're not able to find a lot more detail about John Selman, and that's obviously a somewhat modern stone. In fact, all of the stones in the cemetery there at Bethel look like they were replaced. Usually you've got the old original eroding stones there as well. William Selman, I don't have detail on William Selman. So, do you know anything about him? He popped up on a list as a Revolutionary War soldier, and he is the son of John Selman. Okay. He marched to Yorktown and was present at Cornwallis' surrender. By 1789 in Georgia, he was a successful planter, Baptist minister, and member of the legislature in 1805 and 6. He moved to Monroe in 1835. And this is an interesting photograph that came across of that marker in its original condition. Old Baptist Cemetery.
You say Old Baptist Cemetery, where is that here now, the one in town?
Yes.
Okay.
It's across from the Methodist Church on
Right.
Alcovey.
Out the side.
And there are a total of 3 Revolutionary War soldiers buried there. The War of 1812, the causes of that has sometimes been called the Second War for Independence. England was at war with France and wanted to restrict and cut off supplies to France. So that messed with our trading, and they required special taxes and permissions. The Americans resented the British control of the interior. They still control the area between the Mississippi and the Alleghenies. So we discovered the graves of 17 veterans from this period. Biographical information begins to fall off dramatically here, though, because you don't have the good work of the sons and daughters of the American Revolution, for instance. So, 17, for example. And again. John Allgood's name pops up again. He was quite a warrior because he's going to show up again in the Indian Wars. And James Bentley. I don't have the detail on James Bentley. He's out at Bay Creek. Thomas Bradley. Thomas Bradley is described as an Indian fighter, a veteran of the War of 1812, and a Baptist in Wayfarers in Walton. He settled in Walton County in 1822 near Canton. Bear with us here. John Carter is buried out of the Hopewell Methodist Church. This is hundreds of graves in a forest out there. This is also out 138. Okay. Henry Connor we don't have much information on him. We have an indication that he was just a veteran of the War of 1812. And he is buried down near Brown and Shoals. John Dickinson, his grave was recorded in, is it called Remembrances, or Gale, in the 80s, an inventory was done of cemeteries.
In 1992 is when they did the
Okay.
inventory.
The stone was there then. By the time that the cemeteries in Walton County work was done by the Genealogical Society, they could not find it. So we do at least have indication that there's a grave there. But he was a pioneer citizen arriving in 1820.
Descendants is a gentleman by the name of Thomas Livesey, who lives down in the Promised Land in southeast Gwinnett County. The county has just taken over the Promised Land plantation about 2 years ago. The Livesey family owned it, and it will be turned into a museum. But Thomas did the genealogical research to find his, for lack of a better way of saying it, find his white kinfolk. And every 5 years they have a Livesey family reunion, and the black families and the white families come together to celebrate their common lineage, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah, you know, reminiscent of the Jefferson
Yes,
situation.
who I thought of when I first heard that story from Thomas. I thought, gosh, that's interesting.
That's interesting. Thank you.
There's a polo field over there, and some of my family, I think it's my like 5th or 6th great grandfather, Apple White Wright. You know, recognize that name, Steve?
I do.
Okay, we'll talk about it. But there, you can't even. I mean, the graveyard is so overgrown, and I mean, it's literally like etchings. Miss Linda's my cousin too, out toward grass. She done maybe not claim. Hey. Anyway, but I didn't know if you had known it because they were born in the, like, I don't know, a long time ago.
Well, we found a lot of those. You know, unless they were military veterans.
Well, they probably, I mean, I would assume they would be. I mean, most people were back then, unless you were, you know, Donald Trump had a bad foot spur. But it was something that I didn't know if you had like seen. And do you know the cemetery off of, you know where Lachlan Road is?
Yes.
Did you go, I missed, I'm sorry, I left for a minute. I missed some, but Lachlan Road, that was also a family of my ancestors, and the Lachlan Cemetery is there. Did you have any pictures of anybody in there?
Nothing took us to that cemetery.
Okay,
So you know, we would have a lead.
I'll gladly talk to you about it. And then there's a camp cemetery in Gratis that was also by like 5th great grandparents that is on Shoal Creek Road, and the grave markers, I mean, it's back in the early 1800s. So I didn't know if you had seen that. So
I have no doubt that there are many, many more out there.
and there's an Adams Cemetery, actually. If you go to the Adams Cemetery at Michael Road and on Mount Vernon and Michael Road.
I've seen it. It's not my crowd. But
Yeah, well, there may be a lot of Adams around. So.
could be. So many of these veterans, though they were born in North Carolina and Virginia, you read, well, they rode in from counties to the east, almost invariably. They came in from some other nearby county where they had been living. The lotteries are significant in 2 ways. It explains the high number of veteran settlers in the area, but it also resulted in great records because these lottery, you know, you had to go before a judge and you had to swear. I guess you had to prepare an affidavit, so to speak. outlining in great detail your military service, and these records survive. Well, the fonts are so screwed up on this right now. I don't know what happened to this thing, but as long as you can read it, we're now moving on to the Seminole Wars. There were, of course, huge, I talked about the wave about to break, huge settlement, huge pressures on the Native American lands. They were fertile land, and all these Europeans were piling up to the east. It was almost inevitable what was going to happen. There were treaty violations. They became more and more severe as time went on. The tribes were reluctant to resettle. Sometimes their tribal leaders would be sent west to Oklahoma to inspect the land and come back, and sometimes they would come back and say, we're happy here. We don't necessarily want to resettle. And then, of course, there was the Indian Removal Act of 1830.
Good morning and welcome, and thank you for watching. This is Dina Huff, the Executive Director for the Partnership for Families, Children, and Youth. And I would just like to say I hope you all are enjoying this very hot summer that we're experiencing. And I do hope that you're finding some place to stay cool and stay safe. We would like to invite you to attend our collaborative meetings. Our collaborative meetings are called Walton County Collaborative Meetings, and the reason for that is it's for the county. These meetings are open for anyone who would like to attend. If you have a business or organization that serves families and children, and you would like to get the word out to others in the community, we invite you to join us for these meetings. And let me just give you some dates and times of our next meetings. We do take the month of July off due to vacations and different schedules, but we will have our next meeting August 16th at Church at the Grove in Social Circle. And those meetings are at 8 a.m. And Church at the Grove is behind the old Blue Willow Inn, the Blue Willow restaurant, I'm sorry. And it's in that little shopping area. And then in September, on September 20th, our meeting will be held at the Loganville American Legion, Post 233. And again, that meeting is at 8 a.m. We also provide a Zoom option for our meetings for those who may have restrictions leaving their office, or they're out of town and may want to join our meetings. So we will have a Zoom option. So if you're interested in attending our meetings, hearing what we have going on here at the partnership, and hearing about what others have going on, because we allow our partners to share what they the events and things that they have going on, and we do minutes for these meetings and send those out. We do a sign-in sheet. So all are welcome to attend, and I do invite you to that next meeting, August 16th. And if you have any questions, whether you might want to come to that meeting or if it would be something that you're not interested in, always feel free to give me a call on my direct line, which is 770-207-3175. And I would like to add that we do have an online resource directory, and we would like for all of our organizations, business, churches, civic organizations to enter their information on that resource, for that resource guide, because this is for the citizens, businesses, everyone in Walton County can utilize this resource guide. So you can go to find that online at www.resource.directory. So again, any questions on anything that I've shared this morning, please feel free to give me a call on my direct line, and it's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kenny Sargent with Keep Walton Beautiful, the Walton County Recycling Center. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. First off, to get started, I really wanted to just thank everybody that comes out and uses our facility. The place has grown and grown and grown over the years. And you know, we're checking our numbers for the month of June, and we were up close to 2,400 cars across our scales for the month of June. And that's really about triple the amount of cars that we had around 10 years ago coming in monthly. And those are pretty much the average numbers for every month these days. So we're really excited about how much things have grown here. And again, a big thank you to everybody that comes out and uses our facility. And keep on coming. Want you to know that we're trying to stay on top of all the things going on in the recycling world to make sure we're recycling all the things that can be recycled. And you know, we're going to stay on top of that, and you know, hopefully there's new things, new programs we can put in place as time goes forward. So again, thank you so much for coming out. We really appreciate all the business you've given us, and we hope you have a wonderful experience here. Going forward, we're kind of starting to get full speed ahead on our Rivers Alive event for this year. We've got a lot of volunteers that's already confirmed for the Rivers Alive event. We're going to hold the Rivers Alive event this year on Saturday, October 22nd. We are kind of opening it back up to anyone that's interested in volunteering, and we have all sorts of groups that volunteer for this event. We have school groups, scout groups, church groups, other civic organizations generally volunteer for this. It's a wonderful cleanup. So if you're interested, looking for volunteer opportunities, give us a call here, 770-267-1421. You know, you can ask to speak to Kenny, and I'd be happy to tell you more about the event, about Rivers Alive, and help you get started, you know, finding a place you might want to clean up. So that is kind of what we have going on. Just a reminder here about a few things that you've probably heard me say 1,000 times. We are limited on the amount of construction debris we can take presently. There used to be no limitations on that, and no matter, you know, how much lumber or whatnot that you had, it was okay to bring down here, and that's really not the case anymore. The landfill that our stuff goes to off our transfer pad has started turning our trucks around if too much of the load has the construction debris in it. So, you know, if you come down here and you have a piece or two of wood, you know, we're not going to stop you from throwing those away. Those are okay. But if you're coming down here with a majority of wood or construction waste or anything like that, we are going to have to send you to a C&D landfill. And, you know, we really hate for people to have to drive all the way down here and us turn them around. You know, it doesn't make you happy, and we don't like doing it. So trying to get that message out as best we can. And again, the same goes for yard waste. Yard waste needs to go to an inert landfill. We have several in our county. I'd be happy to direct you to the nearest one to you. But we still get, you know, at least several loads a day that come in that we have to turn around, and you know, we really wish we didn't have to do that, but there's really nothing we can do about it. So give us a call. We can help you find the places you need to go to for all of those purposes. And like I always do, if you've never been out to our center, don't know much about us, don't know what we accept here, what you can recycle here, give us a call. Again, that number is 770-267-1421, or you can always just hop in the car and ride out and see us if you're nearby. We could walk you through. That seems to be a lot easier to kind of do the walkthrough, show you exactly what we do and don't take. We can get you a brochure to take back home with you as a reminder of what we do and don't take and what you need to do with some of your items. So come out here and see us. Let us show you what we do. Let us help you get started recycling and tending to some of your trash disposal needs. You know, we take a lot of the things that won't fit in your garbage cans at home, some of the larger items. This is a perfect place to bring those type things. So come out and see us. Give us a call if you need anything, have any questions on recycling or any other environmental questions. Really, we'd be happy to help you out, answer questions, or direct you to someone that can answer any of those questions. So until next time, take care.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Peggy Jones, and I'm an intern with the Master Gardener Volunteer Program. And today we have the pleasure to be at the Blueberry Orchard, which is part of the Social Circle Theater here in Social Circle. This blueberry orchard was part of the Duncan Farm about 30 to 40 years ago, and then it was purchased by the Standridges, and they donated the land to the Social Circle, and then the Social Circle uses it as a U-Pick blueberry orchard, and they raise funds for their camps. And we have the director of the Social Circle who will tell you more information about that later. I am going to be talking with Jerry Ford, and she is one of our master gardeners with the Extension program here in Walton County. And she's going to tell you a little bit about this blueberry orchard and what we have done as master gardeners. So I'm going to turn it over to Jerry Ford, and she'll tell you about the blueberry orchard.
Hello. All across Georgia, there are blueberry orchards and plantings that are neglected and old. And what can you do with them? Old rabbit-eye blueberry bushes can grow up to 10 to 12 foot tall, and they can become hard to pick. The berries are small to medium, and they're hard to get to, and they're covered in invasive trees and vines and weeds. So what do you do? Well, if the bushes themselves are healthy and they're fruiting, you can renewal prune them down, and this will make way for new and productive canes and a better possibility for a good fruit yield.
When's the best time to do the pruning for the blueberry bushes?
It's best to do this pruning in early, mid-March to early April.
And how did the Master Gardeners of Walton County get involved?
In the spring of 2019, the Master Gardeners, under the leadership of Gerald Larson, who is a retired extension agent for from Fort Valley State University, his passion is renewal pruning and grafting of fruit trees. So we came together and started the renewal pruning project.
And you said 3 rows were chosen for the first project.
Yes.
What was the process that y'all did?
Well, in the process, first things we do is we have 2 yardsticks, and you put these yardsticks down through the crown of the bush that you're going to renewal prune. All the canes outside of this 36-inch diameter get cut out. And then you come in and you weed out all the invasive trees and the vines and the weeds. When all that is cleared, then you cut the remaining canes in this 36-inch circumference. We cut them down. The first trial was 2 to 4 inches. So we had 3 rows, about 24 bushes that were cut down to the ground. And we were a bit anxious and nervous, and so was the board of the Social Circle Theater. But within a month, they started sprouting, and they grew and grew.
So what are you talked about renewal pruning. What are the advantages of renewal pruning? Just to help them grow and you only lose one season of fruit?
Yes. Let
Okay.
me back up and tell you a couple more things about growing the
Okay.
fruit trees.
Okay.
Once we cut them down and they started sprouting and growing, well, they'll grow up to, when they grew up to about 2 foot, then we went back in to our area and we had all these sprouting growing up. Then you select 10 healthy, well-spaced canes and you cut everything else out. So then you have to maintain those. So the first season we had to do bi-weekly maintenance to keep all the other sprouts and suckers out and to take care of those 10 fragile canes. Toward the end of the season, we cut back more and we went from 10 canes down to 6 or 7. And that gives more energy for the plants to grow and produce bigger, better fruit. And that's the reason for that.
And what were the results the first summer that you had, you said?
So the first summer, they just grew wonderfully. And by October, they were all 6 foot tall.
Wow.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And they had set sufficient flower buds for good fruiting the next year.
Okay, okay. So those are the advantages of renewal pruning, is that you get new bushes without losing
Yes.
too many seasons.
Yes, the best thing about renewal pruning is that you only lose one season. The next year, we pruned them down to the ground in 2019. In 2020, we had the production exceeded our wishes. They were big and beautiful, and the bushes were producing 5 to 15 pints each.
Wow.
From the ones we cut down.
Wow.
And some of them were the size of a quarter.
Wow. Now, did you lose any of the bushes?
We did not.
Wow.
Every bush that was cut down to the ground and that we stressed over came back big and beautiful and huge.
Oh, that's awesome. How about, did you try any different heights?
We did. After cutting those to the ground, we wanted to do a good trial run. So we cut some of the others at 36 inches, 26 inches, and 18 inches. And now Mr. Larson and the Master Gardeners concluded that even though the first ones we cut down to 2 to 4 inches came back just beautiful and robust and productive, it was very labor and time intensive to keep all of those sprouts.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
We concluded that cutting them down to the 18-inch pruning size was the best, and then keeping them pruned to 10 and then 6 to 8 canes.
So even in my own home garden, that's
Yes.
a good thing to go for, is 18 inches.
18 inches if you're renewal
Okay.
pruning.
If you're doing renewal.
pruning.
Okay.
And then keep, in your home garden, keep them 6 to 8 canes, not
These
20.
huge bushes. Okay.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned something about fruit tree grafting. Tell us about that.
Yes. The Master Gardeners and Mr. Larson, we had 3 classes on fruit tree pruning, grafting. We chose 3 Bradford pear trees, which are invasive, and we cut them down to 2 foot. On each one, we grafted scions from 2 different kinds of pear trees. You can graft an early ripening pear to a late and a late ripening pear on the same tree, and that will extend and expand your fruiting season.
Oh, wow. And what varieties did you use here at the orchard?
Here at the orchard, we have Gold Crisp, Monterey, Maxine, Kiefer, Harrow Sweet, and one more. What is that one?
Turnbull?
Turnbull.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All the trees that we grafted are doing great. All of the different types of grafts are growing. They're doing great. And this year, in 2022, on the Gold Crisp branches, we had 6 pairs to develop.
Oh, how
already.
exciting. That's
so
exciting.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and that
Well,
is...
you have done a lot of work here as a master gardener
Yes.
and keeping up this beautiful orchard.
Yes.
And I'm going to turn it over to Tara, who's the director of the Social Circle Theater, and she's going to tell you a little bit about the Social Circle Theater.
Thank you. we want to say a big thank you to Mr. Lawson and the UGA Extension and the Master Gardeners for all the hard work they've done and the help that they have provided with making the blueberry orchard beautiful and revitalizing it. We do receive donations for blueberries, which help fund our children's programs. That is mostly what we do throughout the year. Is we have children's programs from August until May. We produce shows with them that do live theater, ages 4 to 18. We also have community theater productions that we put on throughout the years. That's a audition process that anyone in the community is available to come to. So we are happy to be able to be supported by this blueberry orchard in that way too. So we thank you, and we welcome you to come anytime, pick your blueberries.
And there's still you can pick blueberries, and there's a little honor thing you can put your money in, and Tara comes out and checks it every day and finds lots of money. And we're just excited to help cultivate Walton from the ground up. So go visit our website at www.waltonmastergardeners.com. Go to our Facebook site, go to our Instagram, and especially come to the farmers market on Saturdays. We're there from 9 to 1, and we're always there to answer your questions. We love to hear about your plants. We love to see what's growing in your garden. Jerry might be out there this Saturday, so she can tell you more about the blueberries and everything that we do. So come visit our orchard here at the Blueberry Orchard at Social Circle by the Social Circle Theater. Pick your blueberries. There's still a few left. The birds might be fighting you over them, but there's still a few. And thank you so much for letting us talk to you today. Oh, I know. Now, do you need to have those picked today?
Hi, welcome to Monroe Walton Center for the Arts. In our gallery, we have something kind of different going on. We have a special exhibit from the Monroe Museum, and they have loaned us, they have, I think, 4,000 items in their archives. They're all archivally stored and cataloged, a very complicated process. And of course, they can only display a fraction of what they have. So these items that they've brought over here are items that have never been on display before. And this show is here through August 24th. So we invite you to come and see kind of a different thing for us, but we love it. It's really a fascinating display, and we really appreciate the Monroe Museum and Kim Mulkey and Steve Brown for setting this up for us. Did a great job. Lots of really interesting pieces in this. For the rest of July, we do have this show, of course, going on. On the 29th, we will have a reception for this show that evening. I brought a couple of visual aids for me, some classes that we have going on. This is called sun printing, or cyanotype. I always forget how to say it. It's a class that we're going to have on July 30th. That's a Saturday. So you can go online to our website, come by the Art Center, and pick up a class list or give us a call, and we'll be happy to talk you through what all is going on with that. This is another class that's been real popular. We just held this class actually last weekend, but we've already got a waiting list of people who want to take it again. You make, it's with alcohol, ink, and resin. And these are insulated stainless steel tumblers. Great gifts, great for yourself. So that's coming up in August. We're taking a break from Sip and Paint for August. Donna will be back in September with Sip and Paint and with her Paint and Pizza Party. Kind of taking a break in August. So we hope to see you soon, and we have a lot going on, It's summertime. Weather is kind of weird lately, but we hope to see you soon. Bye.
Hey, I'm Isaac over at Reboot. Going to give you a Reboot tech tip today. Just want to talk a little bit about Windows 11. Windows 11 came out, I don't know, 2-3 months ago, something like that. And I don't recommend using Windows 11. Typically the way Microsoft works is every other generation of Windows is an unfinished product. So like, I don't know, y'all might remember Windows Vista. Windows Vista was basically unfinished Windows 7. Windows 8 was unfinished Windows 10. And so I don't know if it's a money thing about why they send out the unfinished product, or maybe it's a test thing so the consumer can work out all the bugs or whatever. But so Windows 11 is that unfinished product. So and I think Windows 12 or whatever they're going to call it, it's supposed to come out, I think it's like 2 years from now or a year from now, something like that. So Windows 12, or again whatever they'll call it, will come out before Windows 10 goes out of service. That's what we recommend. Don't mess with Windows 11. It's got a whole bunch of glitches. For the most part, it's pretty much a nightmare. They changed a bunch of stuff, and it's just difficult to deal with. So if you go out and you get you a new computer, try and get one that still has Windows 10 on it, or computer places can generally downgrade them or do something a little different for you if you want. But yeah, so try to stay away from Windows 11. I know here at Reboot we sell Windows 10 still, and we'll continue to do that as long as we can. But anyway, that's it for today. Isaac giving you the Reboot tech tip.
Hey Walton County, it's Patrice Broughton here, your Public Information Officer here with another county update. We'll start with the July 12th board meeting. We had several things on this agenda, and you can find it in the agenda packet as always on our website at www.waltoncountyga.gov. So we started with our county manager's report. And he went over some of the things that, we are doing in the county, and we'll get into some of those later on. They adopted the agenda with the addition of a discussion about LED stop signs, and then we moved right into the Planning Commission recommendations. So they started with the approval of a withdrawal for a conditional use, and it was approved. And then they approved conditional use of 3 acres for recreation area and storage building, and the applicant was Jackson Cadiddle, and it was approved with the condition that they can only use the land for recreation and a storage building with an access off Rosebud Road in lieu of Esco Drive. They also approved a conditional use on 16.58 acres for agritourism, and the applicants were Tim and Leah Kill. They approved a rezone of 54 acres from A1 to R1 to create a subdivision, and that was approved on PJ East Road. They also approved a rezone of 2.27 acres from A1 to A to operate a nonprofit rabbit rescue. So we had a recommendation from our Human Resources Department to approve a recommendation to the changes to the Employee Benefits Committee, and it was approved. We approved 3 contracts at this meeting. We approved Ascension Program Management for Walnut Grove Park for Amendment 1. We approved the contract for a loose design for Walnut Grove Park, an additional design scope of work to prepare for the Phase 1 for the bid. And then they approved an enterprise vehicle replacement. So the county will go to leasing vehicles from Enterprise, and they will work with Enterprise to update our vehicles as needed. You can find details for that contract online in the agenda packet. They approved an acceptance of a proposal for Anglin Road, and it was approved to lease the property to Paul Jones in the amount of $5,000 for farming. They made 2 appointments to the Walton County DFACS Board, and they appointed Dr. Wanasha Watkins and Michelle Camp. So we had several discussions, and one of them being to move the September meeting from the first Tuesday to September 13th because of the Labor Day holiday. So the meeting for September will be held on September 13th at 6 o'clock at the Walton County Historic Courthouse. And they discussed adding LED stop signs to certain intersections because right now folks are having trouble seeing those stop signs and maybe blowing past them, and to eliminate the chance of an accident, they have added LED stop signs for replacement for the regular stop signs. So they also discussed employee donated leave policy and mulching at Hard Labor Creek. We also had an executive session. No votes were taken in executive session, but they did come out and announced in regular session for a motion to authorize the county to finalize an agreement with Trustmark as part of our transition back to Anthem Insurance. Public Works has been busy in the county. They have resurfaced 2 roads since our last update, and those roads are Hightower Trail and Paddock Road. Again, you can find any of the things discussed here in this update on the Walton County website. We've also got notices on the website about the millage rate increase, and the public can come out and speak on those dates. If you'll go to the home section of the Walton County website, you will see the first notice and also the second notice. Those notices also ran in the Walton Tribune. Again, if you have any questions about any operations at the county, please don't hesitate to give us a call. Our number is 770-267-1301. Thank y'all, and we hope y'all are staying safe and enjoying the summer.
Chris Domine is a husband and a father. Chris is an athlete. Chris is even an Ironman. But 10 years ago, Chris was facing a very different story because his kidneys were failing.
Basically, the doctor said, if you don't get a kidney transplant and if you don't do dialysis, you are going to die.
Fortunately, Chris received a second chance at life, made possible by an organ donor.
You know, your well-being changes, you know, from loss of hope to better times ahead.
More than 100 million people in America are registered organ, eye, and tissue donors. People of every age and ethnicity, because they believe it's the right thing to do. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
All right, crew, let's get started. Sure. Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call.
Welcome to your community. This is your hometown. This is Walton Entertainment.